Hello children. Today we are going to look at a chapter which is called as animal behavior. Okay. Now when I say animal behavior, we can also come under this category because we are also considered as animals. Okay. But now, for now, we will restrict it to animals which are not evolved as much as we are. Okay. Now when we talk about animal behavior, okay, it is basically how the animals are interacting with the environment, that is the physical environment in which they are living. Okay, so animal behavior includes all the ways animals interact with organisms and the physical environment. Okay, so the environment in which they are born and how is that they are able to live in that particular environment is what is animal behavior. Okay, and what are the various ways that they have adapted to live in that particular environment. Okay, so that is basically what this means, interact. Okay, so interact means what? Basically when we are talking about humans, when we say interact means we are talking with each other. Okay, but in animals, when it respects to the environment, interact means how are they facilitating themselves with respect to the environment. Okay, right? Now moving on to the next point. Now we'll see the definition of a behavior. Okay, now behavior can also be defined as a change in the activity of an organism in response to a stimulus. Now what do you mean by a stimulus? Okay, now say for example, my hand is here. Okay, I am pinching my hand. Okay, now when I pinch my hand, you all of you will know that I am getting a pain. I'll be getting pain. Okay, now the immediate reaction, if somebody unknowingly just comes and pinches you, the immediate reaction is a stimulus. That is what you just jerk. Okay, now that jerk is basically what is a stimulus. Okay, right? Now I'll read it once again. Behavior can also be defined as a change in the activity of an organism in response to a stimulus, to an external or internal cue or a combo of cues. So cue is nothing but your pinching. I am pinching myself. Now this is a cue. Okay, right? Or combo of cues. Combo means it can be a combination of many cues. Okay, many other factors as well. Okay, right? Moving on. Now, to fully understand a behavior, we want to know what causes it. Okay, so if we are looking at to understand a behavior of a particular organism, we have to know what is causing that particular behavior. Okay, what is the factor which is causing that particular behavior. Okay, now how it develops in an individual. Now, how is it that that particular character is developing in an individual? Okay, and how it benefits the organism. Okay, what is the use of developing that particular characteristic and how it is evolved and how did it come. Okay, now let me give you a simple example. Okay, now snakes. Okay, now snakes, if you might be aware and few of you might not be aware, snakes used to walk on the land. Okay, snakes used to walk on the land. Okay, now that is a behavior. Okay, snake when walking on the land was a behavior. Okay, now what is causing it? It is because of the nature of that particular organism during that particular time. Okay, now how it has developed into an individual, you know how snakes take its birth, which is through eggs. Okay, now how it benefits an organism. Now what happened, snakes started becoming bigger and bigger. Okay, so walking on a land with 4 legs and supporting the body became a major challenge for them. Okay, it became a very much major challenge for them. So what happened, slowly the snakes started getting into water. Okay, right? Now when the snakes got into water, then what happened, because of the buoyancy, the snakes, whatever snake it is, say for example we take a python or an anaconda, whatever snake it is, the snake feels lighter in weight. Okay, right? So that is basically the benefit that it has got once it entered into the water. So slowly what happened? The legs which were there for the snakes, with the evolution, they slowly disappeared. Now, some evidences of those legs disappearing can be seen in the anacondas. Okay, on the back, you have some vestigial organs. Now, what are vestigial organs? Now, organs which are not useful for that particular organism. Okay, now, anaconda has those small spikes at the back of their body. Okay, now, generally, they don't use it, but during the time of mating, the male stimulates the female with that particular spike. Okay, right? So that is the only use. So how it develops into an individual we have seen, and how it benefits the organism we have just explained you, and how it is evolved. So that also I have explained you. Okay, so because the snakes felt lighter when they were in water, slowly that evolutionary trend continued, and slowly the snakes started crawling on the ground and the legs got disappeared. All right, now moving on. Now some behaviors are innate. Okay, some behaviors are innate. Innate means what? They are born with it. Okay, or genetically hand-wired. So genetically hand-wired in the sense, when there is a crossing occurring between organisms, then the genes are transferred, and that is causing what is called as a innate behavior. Okay, then while others are learned. So others things are basically learned. Okay, now say for example, blinking of your eyes or beating of your heart is a innate behavior. It is not under your control. Okay, right? But learning this particular animal behavior chapter is what is a learned behavior. It is basically what is a learned behavior. Okay, right? Or developed through experience. Developed through experience. Now, when I'm teaching you people, I have developed this skill of teaching because of experience. Okay, I have gained experience because of this. Okay, right? Then, in many cases, behaviors have both an innate component and also a learned component. So there are many other cases where you can see innate behavior and also learned behavior, which we'll see in the later part of the chapter. Okay, now I'll just read this again for you. Some behaviors are innate or genetically hand-wired, while others are learned or developed through experience. In many cases, behaviors have both an innate component and a learned component. Okay, now behavior is shaped by natural selection. So here we can come back to the snake example again. Okay, behavior is shaped by natural selection. So when I say natural selection, that means what? The snakes selected themselves, selected or evolved themselves into crawling on the ground rather than walking on the legs. Okay, so that is basically what is natural selection. Okay, so the survival of the fittest is one of the Darwin's principle which governs this natural selection. Okay, so the snakes were fit crawling on the ground and swimming in the water rather than walking on the ground. So natural selection took over, and the snakes slowly lost their footings and legs, in fact legs, and they started crawling on the ground. Okay, now many behaviors directly increase an organism's fitness. Now once the snakes started crawling, they were more fitter. Okay, they were more happier. So when happiness is there, the fitness level is automatically there. Okay, that is, they help to survive and reproduce. So this is the major component that snakes had developed. It helped them to survive and reproduce. Okay, so this reproduction became effective, and because that reproduction became effective, the snakes were able to survive better. Okay, right? Now you have seen the introduction to animal behaviors now in this particular session. Okay, now in the next session we'll be looking at the types of animal behaviors. Okay, so I hope you have understood the session. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Excuse me.